I'm Roni Cerga, CEO at VR Vision Group. Oh, and this headset is off. They just made me wear this for the intro. Now I'm going to jump right into it. Our first video is going to be a top 10 tips on how to deploy corporate training in 2022. And I will just jump right into number one. Number one, standalone VR is king. When it comes to general corporate training, there is a single exception, and that's when we're looking at simulators. And simulators is things such as flight simulators or any type of training that requires extremely high visual fidelity. And what I mean by standalone VR is something similar to what I had on earlier, which is a Meta Quest 2 for business. These devices do not need a computer or a phone to be powered. All the computing is done on a device level. One thing that they all have in common, at least the modern devices, is that they're all using a Qualcomm XR2 chipset. And I would say that would be the baseline for any type of new modern standalone VR headset. The other examples for standalone VR that I think are great fits for corporate training would be the Pico Neo series of headsets and also HTC Focus. Now, all these headsets have their advantages and disadvantages, and that's something that we can go into more depth in future videos. Number two, consider an OpenXR framework for all your training applications. Now, this has the advantage of basically making your applications compatible with all VR headsets. The disadvantages are that you will miss out on some of the very specific features that are only available to some headsets. Good examples for this would be the Pico Neo eye tracking capability, as well as, let's say, the Oculus Quest 2's hand tracking features, and more. Number three, multiplayer is and if you want to impress your executives, you can call it the metaverse. But what I mean by this is that traditional training really saw two main modes. One was basically an education mode, and the second one was typically an evaluation mode. But in recent years, and as the technology has progressed, we've seen the adoption of more and more multiplayer capable training as a third option. What this basically allows organizations to do is have trainees and trainers in a virtually shared environment where they can all collaborate and learn together. The advantages to these are that the trainers are able to provide real-time feedback to the trainees as they go through their training, and the disadvantage is that you are still having to allocate human resources for specific types of training. Number four, and perhaps the least exciting of all the top 10, is LMS integrations. This has become critical for many reasons. The main one is that it allows organizations to schedule courses and their employees to be able to know when their VR training is due. A second advantage is that they're able to track course completion and performance through their traditional LMS. But there are some disadvantages, such as being able to get deep course-specific analytics. In this case, you will need your VR vendor or partner to create a custom dashboard where you can view this analytics or view it through their portal. Number five, choose the right tool for the job. And in this case, we only have two tools to choose from. The first one is interactive 360 video content, and the second one is computer-generated graphics. The advantage of 360 video is that it is relatively fast to produce. It is ultra realistic, but it has the disadvantage that the user can only have simple interactions such as point and click. And of course, it is real life video, so it's very difficult to edit once it's been created. CG graphics, on the other hand, give us a very immersive environment where trainees can go through complex processes and procedures in basically a digital twin of the real world. They can mostly be more expensive and also take longer to create, but they are much more easy to change and adjust over time. Number six, don't compromise on visual quality. Whether it's creating beautiful computer-generated graphics or really visually appealing 360 videos, do not compromise in A, the type of camera you're using, for example, for 360 videos. Make sure it is A, stereoscopic, and B, at least filming in 12K. Now, some cases when it comes to 360 filming will not allow you to use stereoscopic video, like a tight shot, in which case you can just increase the resolution of whatever you're filming and use monoscopic video. When it comes to CG, anything is possible, even on a standalone VR headset. There may be some compromises that you need to make, for example, around the environment or unnecessary objects in the scene, but otherwise, the key interactable processes, procedures, or machinery in the scene should be a digital double of its real-life equivalent. Number 7, create meaningful interactions. This is extremely important because even the most beautiful visuals in the world that we can create through capturing video or designing them in 3D won't matter much unless our trainees are able to interface with them in a meaningful way. What I mean by this is, even in something as a 360 video, when the right prompts appear, and even things such as quizzes matter. But this is much more important when we look at things such as procedure-based CG training. The reason for that is because here, at times, trainees may have to go through hundreds of different steps, interfacing with virtual worlds in a way that can sometimes be simple, such as just clicking, but in other times it can become very complex when they're using tools on moving machinery and equipment, for example. Number 8, and this is my favorite, have measurable ROI for all of the courses you look to create. Now, some ROI is easier to calculate than other. For example, travel times or general material usage is very easy to calculate. But there are some intangibles that go towards ROI that we might also want to look to include. Things such as knowledge preservation. In case employees retire or change organizations, you want a way to have that knowledge preserved perpetually. But also things such as increased safety. Having the ability to train employees in sometimes hazardous environments is impossible, and VR gives us the ability to do just that. Number 9, we're almost at the end here, but this is a very important one as well. Prepare your organization for VR adoption. The way we do that is, besides working with our SMEs, we need to prepare the IT department and help desk for proper hardware and software deployment, as well as security. Secondly, we need to prepare our trainers so that they understand how this hardware works, how the software works, and how it will be incorporated into the general learning environment. Finally, we need to prepare our senior executives. This way, they can monitor and measure and understand the impact that VR is having on a day-to-day basis across the organization. Number 10, the final one. Source the right VR training company for your needs. Now, I could just say VR Vision is the perfect company, but it actually isn't. There are 3 types of VR training companies you can choose to partner with. The first are companies that offer out-of-the-box, ready-made solutions. The second ones are companies that provide systems that enable your own team to create their own virtual reality training applications. And finally, you have companies like VR Vision that provide bespoke enterprise virtual reality training applications. Now, I could go into depth around each category, but that probably deserves its own video, and it's something I plan to do in the future. In conclusion, thank you for watching my first YouTube/LinkedIn or wherever it's going to be distributed video. I really do appreciate it. And if you think I missed anything in my top 10, feel free to leave a comment down below and do all the things they always ask you to do, such as like, share, subscribe, or even dislike if you disagreed with some of these points on this video. Thanks again, and I hope to see you soon.